Okay, there was a bit of rescheduling and scheduling issues going on. Sorry, guys. Hey, Brittany Wynn, how are you? Thanks for joining. Let's see who's going to join. I think I confuse people a little because of all the fuckery I kept rescheduling. I've had quite a week of unexpected twists and turns. Let's see who else is joining. How are you, Brittany? Oh, thank you. You like my nails? I'm always the same. They know me at the nail salon. It's Lincoln Park. Hey, Tony. Nice to see you. I'm glad people are joining. I think I did confuse people because I posted, then I took down the post. It was about a week ago I was going to do this live stream, and so much got in the way. I'm also generally, I'm going to change this assumption about myself. I'm generally quite disorganized, and I'm starting to try to change my assumption that I'm the most organized person in the world, but I've had my scheduling all over the place. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, about self-concept, right? So I'm stepping into my most organized self. Let's see if anyone else is going to join. Otherwise, I'll just kind of get going with the discussion. Oh, thank you, Andy. I love that. Hi, Juan. Nice to see you. What's everyone up to? It's Saturday morning here. Where's everyone joining from? California, Andy, by the beach. So you're West Side, and I'm in California. I'm LA, so I'm not by the beach, but Tucson, Arizona, being lazy, love it. Cool. Minnesota, Bay Area, love it, Brittany. Awesome. Not too far then from me. All right, guys. Well, a few people have joined, so we'll get going on this. So I wanted to hop on today to talk a little bit more about what the topic of the video is, which is all this stuff around self-concept versus state of consciousness. There's obviously a lot of debate within the manifesting community around like what your self-concept is, or do you need to improve your self-concept in order to manifest? How important is self-concept? So I did want to unpack this and even take questions. It's going to be fairly informal, so I'm definitely keen to get some of your questions and to answer them. But first and foremost, let's just like reiterate what the basics are when it comes to manifesting. So firstly, guys, you have been manifesting your entire life, whether you were conscious or unconscious, even before, and a lot of you have woken up and you are consciously applying the law, which was always in operation. But before that, your dominant thoughts and assumptions were what was being reflected back to you in your physical reality, okay? And a lot of these thoughts were just running rampant, and you had certain assumptions embedded within you that were instilled, without you realizing it, okay? So things were just kind of happening outside of you, and part of being asleep is that you feel like the outside is happening to you. Now, when you become a conscious manifester, you obviously start consciously shifting your focus and redirecting your thoughts Two, instill new assumptions to shift into a version of you, because the outside's going to reflect what you assume to be true. So instill a new belief or an assumption that then is reflected outwards. Okay, guys? So when we talk about self-concept, yes, I would say that it's not everything. So you're always manifesting, as I pointed out. You're manifesting on the go 24/7. But self-concept is something that is important, I would say, in terms of, firstly, you just getting your most preferable version of reality. Even when it comes to manifesting a specific person, you don't need to have a perfect self-concept, because, for example, if you were to just consistently focus and say someone wants you, they want to talk to you, etc., you can trick your subconscious mind into feeding you that experience, because your subconscious mind is not dependent on logic. You can absolutely select any experience that you want by redirecting your focus, your thoughts, and eventually your subconscious is going to give you whatever you're saying. Okay, now where I would say that you might run into some stumbling blocks, or where you might feel that actually manifestation is much easier, is if you can fathom that, you know, manifesting is all about what state that you're embodying. So let's say, in order to get you to a state like my specific person is texting me, you would need to repeat over and over and over. Even if you're in no contact and it seems illogical, you would be saying, okay, SP's contacting me, SP's contacting me, SP's contacting me. And of course, eventually your subconscious is going to give you that result. However, guys, if you want to sustain a result that is preferable for you, we're talking about law of assumption, which is not just about, you know, shifting your thoughts here and there to get certain results. It's about actually having a change of self, right? It's a journey of self. So if you want to have, say, for example, more consistent results, rather than, if we talk about states, wavering in and out of states, if you're in the habit of being a person that feels like, okay, my specific person doesn't really love me, or people generally don't really stick around, or you know, people want me but only temporarily. What may happen, guys, because we're trying to break the habit of being an old limited version of self, or a person that has certain limiting beliefs about self, what might happen is you shift into a state, you get a temporary result, and then you shift back to another state, right? Where you are going to get confirmation on your outer of whatever you're assuming to be true in that moment, right? Or the version of you that you're being. So what can happen is sometimes, guys, and this is where we kind of get really patchy results, is you might find that the outside is going to confirm wherever your focus has been consistently. And this is why affirmations and all these techniques are very effective. If you're consistently writing, someone wants me, someone wants me, someone wants me, you will get the result. There is no question about it. But what might happen is you might get in your own way. Or in fact, if you don't do self-concept work, you might find that you have a harder time getting the result, because what may happen is, if you're in the habit of being a person that has a specific, you know, first of all, like an assumption about that person, or just about love or yourself generally in relation to love, you might find that you start trying to train your mind to think differently, okay? Because it's all within your control, wherever your focus is. And you might find that you're wavering because your logic mind wants to go back to an old experience, or your logic mind, or your ego mind, sorry, rather might say, okay, look, you're saying SP loves me, SP wants me, and then your ego minds might jump in and say, but what about what happened before? But what about the fact that they said this or did this? Or what about the fact that you've always had a hard time in love? And you'll start reacting, and rather than being able to have a clean mental diet, because guys, your techniques for manifesting are fantastic to get you to a place where you have that assumption. But if you're in the habit like of doing techniques, but then your mental diet is in the toilet, because you're actually just like for part of the day thinking consciously and focusing on something that you want, but then the rest of the time you're in the habit of being or thinking from a place of not having what you want, or feeling like shit, you're not really going to be dominantly in the state of someone that has what you want. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I think that some people, we're all on an individual journey, and we all have individual ways of thinking, ways of being, different experiences from the past. And therefore, what you're trying to do is it's a navigation of self, right? So you're trying to get in the habit of being the best version of self that has what you want, or being in your power. Now, that's different for everyone, okay? So for some of you, you may not even have much of a blanket shitty story about love, but you've had an experience with a specific person. And so all you're doing is you're changing your conception of that person and what you assume that they think and feel about you. God knows why they reflected back. Like if they decided that they didn't want to be with you, or they left you, you know, in any moment we're getting experiences that are, you know, the result of some lead up or thoughts that we had about a specific person or a situation. It's not always that you need to go and dig endlessly into your inner child and you have a fucked up self-concept. Some people have, like, you know, they think something's going great, and then for whatever reason they have certain thoughts about a particular type of person. They might have had great love relationships in the past, and then all of a sudden they start with someone. It's 11:11, I just looked up. They start with someone and things seem good, and then that person, for whatever reason, because of some amalgamation of you know, outside sources or assumptions this person you have, that person then just like flips and reflects back something to you in a moment, guys. So the point of the matter is that not everything is like you have to endlessly look and do shadow work and heal and you know, fix and redo everything. The key here is, I think, guys, is sure, you should have a healthy self-concept, and you're not doing self-concept for a specific person or to get a result. You're doing self-concept so that you can have, you know, generally a much easier time manifesting, also to have the healthiest possible relationship, because sometimes, guys, you put your manifestations on a pedestal and you forget that you're actually the operant power and you're the one in control, and you become very codependent on the manifestation to show you that you are powerful. I think that that's a very important factor. But really, you're doing self-concept for you, and you're also doing self-concept, I would say, to reinforce that you're the power. So for those of you that, some of you have like a pattern, or you have not for the first time felt like someone's rejecting you, or you're abandoned, or you're unloved, okay? And I would say that it's important then to recognize that you have some kind of a story about self, and that you are getting this reflected over and over and over. And then I would recognize that, and then I would say, okay, if I am the one that's in total control through my assumptions about self, and therefore about love and how I see myself in relation to love, then I would just need to take a moment to recognize that. And for others of you, you know, God knows why sometimes things fall to shit in your physical reality, not as you expected them to in one instant, or someone is not showing up treating you exactly how you would like, okay? Now, in that case, why don't we just think about self-concept can also be you actually stepping into your own power and recognizing that you're actually the creator. So that would be about, okay, look, I didn't quite like that. I'm going to be a little bit more detached in my approach or in my receptivity of that situation, and I'm going to step back into my power. So self-concept, guys, isn't always about your self-esteem and your self-worth. It actually can also be about, you know, how do you see yourself in relation to your ability to manifest, or how do you really accept the fact that you're God and that you're the creator of your reality, right? I can't keep my mind focused and keep going back to the negative thoughts. Okay, Kimmy, so actually this is really good. So what I would say is, in that case, what I was saying before, what we're doing with law of assumption is, it's not just something that, and I think this is relevant for the topic. Yes, you're always going to get results. Wherever your focus is, you're going to get a result, right? So that's why I said to you, you can absolutely sit there and all day. This is why robotic affirming works so well for a lot of people, because they're just like, SP loves me, SP loves me, SP loves me, SP wants me, SP's texting me, right? Now what happens is that if we don't change, you know, our concept of self, or we don't let go of an old story or a situation that we experienced that was a reflection from one state of being, one version of us, then what will happen is negative thoughts can come in, because your ego mind is going to doubt it, right? So imagine if you're like, SP loves me, but SP and the experience you've had it does represent a story. So you get triggered, right? Like you might say SP loves me, but then you're like, no, they don't, because they don't text me, or they said X, Y, and Z but way back when, or a month ago, or whatever. So what happens is you just keep reverting back to a temporary like version of self. Some of you, it's not just temporary, it's like a repeat thing. You keep embodying a version of self where things are being reflected back and they're just shit, and you're not being treated the way you deserve to be treated or whatever. So I would say there's a couple of things, right? I want to try to make it clean for you guys in terms of manifesting. You know, the self-concept thing, what I don't want you to do, and why I wanted to do this video, is I don't want you to feel like you have to constantly fix, or that if things are not showing up immediately the way you want them to, that it must be because you have to fix yourself or your self-concept. I think you need to do in tandem with conscious manifesting and focus, like my specific person loves me, is to have generally a very strong self-concept. Okay, so your self-concept should be, of course, SP loves me because everybody fucking loves me. Some of you though do have a very healthy self-concept. You might think everybody in the goddamn world thinks you're the most beautiful person, but you might have had an experience with the one particular type of person, and you have an assumption based on one experience you had with them that they don't want you, or they said it. Okay, even that, like, it could be a temporary reflection of where your state was in that moment. Your thoughts were going in a certain direction. Maybe you weren't paying attention to your thoughts. Then there was an assumption, and it was just like spat out because your subconscious is just going to deliver you an experience, which is changeable. So what I don't want is that we get so fixated on self-concept and fixing and fixing and fixing. You do need to pay attention to your thoughts, but your thoughts don't need to be perfect either. Okay, so what about just embodying self-concept in terms of what I said, like being the God of your reality, accepting the fact that you actually are powerful and that whatever you say goes, and getting into the practice of that. And so if you're going to do SP loves me, sure, you should say, of course, SP loves me, everybody loves me. Why wouldn't SP love me? Which also means you're not going to waver in and out. So just say you are practicing affirmations, and you're saying, of course, you know, SP is going to reach out to me any minute now, or we're in a loving relationship. You're not going to waver between that and your ego mind that has like a Rolodex of old experiences, or, you know, from an old perception that's going to put you in fear and doubt. Okay. So you're not going to keep going back and forth. And also, you don't have to have a perfect mental diet. You know, you can instill new beliefs and assumptions, like, for example, actually, no, I'm the best manifester in the world. I mean, that is in itself a self-concept thing, right? So you would then not be worried so much that you have to consistently, like, robotically affirm endlessly. And if you don't do it for like 10 hours a day, or if you have a bad thought, that you fucked up your manifestation. Detachment is more difficult for manifesting SP than anything else, because you're going to care more about. Okay, yeah, Kaizen. So this whole thing around detachment, and I've addressed this on other lives, like, some people have said, oh wow, I detached and I got everything I wanted. Well, first of all, I want to talk about this because this is relevant to what I was saying. Sometimes people detach, one, because they have an assumption that they need to detach, so then they get what they want, or two, they detach and they get what they want because they don't have any resistance anymore. So the point is, you can observe, you can focus, and you can, you know, focus all day long on your manifestation. The truth is, wherever your focus is, you're going to get an experience. So there's nothing wrong with being focused on your manifestation. There's nothing wrong with thinking about your SP, or wanting your SP, or saying I have them, or practicing techniques, because your subconscious is just going to give you what you're feeding it. If you're focusing on a person from a place like I said, there's resistance and there's doubt, and you're like, they want me. No, why would they want me? They said X, Y, and Z. Well, then, you know, detaching for some people is better, because they're like, they want me, I know it's done, and they let it go, rather than consistently focusing and wavering in and out, and then like it becomes painful. I think that's where like self-concept comes in, guys, because you can become very codependent and obsessive about a manifestation. There's a difference between obsessing and being focused on a manifestation. If you're focusing from a place where you're like, well, of course they want me because I'm the God of my reality and I always get what I want. And of course they want me because everybody wants me, including them. And because what I say goes. There's a very distinct difference between that and obsessing because you're like, if they don't do this, then I'm not a good manifester, or if they don't do this, it means that they don't love me. This is where self-concept can come in, guys, because if you're like seeking constant reassurance that a person is gonna show you that you're enough, sure, guys, you can still manifest. If you say, no, they're texting me, eventually your subconscious is going to spit it out, but you're going to be not in the best place because you are going to get them come in and you're not going to keep it because they might text you and you're in an old version of self that has a lot of fear and doubt and limiting beliefs just generally about yourself. You feel like shit about yourself. So they might text you, and then first of all, whoever you are being, right, you're filtering things anyway through that lens. So they might say, hey, what's up? And that could be, the meaning behind that is totally dictated by you. So rather than you saying, wow, see, look, I'm the powerful manifester, they're totally in love with me, of course they love me, you might revert back to, oh, hey, what's up? Of course, they don't really care. Like, why didn't they say that they're madly in love with me? And why are they not asking me out? And they're not gonna, and you go into this kind of weird, weak space, okay? And then wherever your focus is from whatever state you're in, the version of you that you're being, you're going to get a result. So that person will come in, they'll say, hey, what's up? And then they might disappear. This is when you get hot and cold behavior. We're manifesting minute by minute. Yeah, the letting go works best for me because I notice I start to go back and forth in positive and negative thoughts. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that that's fair. I mean, whatever works for you, but I would say that this is what I was going to get at. So to stay dominantly in a state. So what is manifesting, guys? We talked about it. We've always been doing it, right? Whether you were conscious or unconscious, whether you got a shitty result or a good result, your dominant thoughts, which then instilled an assumption or a belief, will then spat out into your reality. Now we're taking conscious, control over our thoughts. And then knowing that if we are in a version of self that has an assumption, it's going to be spat out in our reality, regardless of whether it's logical or illogical or in any way connected to what we've experienced before, okay? So to stay dominantly in a state, guys, in a version of you that has what you want, okay? And the assumption that that person thinks and feels the way you want them to feel and behaves the way you want them to behave, it's not just the techniques. You need to have a mental diet, right? Because otherwise you're wavering between states. Like if you're in the morning doing 10-minute method and then the rest of the day you're like, fuck that asshole, they didn't text me and they obviously don't want me and they don't love me and they're never going to come back. Well, you're not dominantly in a state of a person that has what you want. You are shifting back and forth, right? So you need to be dominantly living in the reality where you have what you want. So if you're finding that you're becoming obsessive and you are just like fixated on your techniques, or even the idea that you need to be perfectly doing techniques to get what you want, then I would say the detachment thing is you stepping back into your power and saying, okay, whatever works for me as a technique, it's actually just to get me to a state of accepting that I'm the one that has what I want. And detachment could mean you just saying, I want it, I got it. That's, by the way, a belief. I mean, there's a lot of contention around the law of assumption community about like what you need to do or what you should do or tricks and tips. The truth is you've got to do what feels good and right for you. Like, sure, the more you saturate your subconscious mind, the more quickly you're probably going to get what you want reflected in your physical reality. That's why a lot of coaches say if you want the fastest possible result, repeat, right? To the point where that is more dominantly your natural association with a subject or a person than the not having, okay? Now, if that then creates even more resistance for you, where you're sitting here going, I don't want to fucking affirm for my entire day or do 10,000 robotic affirmations. Well, everyone is individual. So if you're finding that that's frustrating or burning you out, why the hell should you do it? You can also instill a belief and an assumption that you're the best manifester in the world and you only have to affirm for things a couple of times and you get them. But then that in itself needs to be something that you're assuming to be true. Like, with practice, that becomes your norm. And I would say to you guys, aside from your SP or love, if you start embodying that belief, like that version of you that has a belief that you're really fucking powerful and that you actually create everything, and your entire outer experience is actually in your control through your thoughts, then it's going to be easier for you to do that and also see that evidence consistently reinforced in your reality. SP or no SP, okay? So you will start to see it pop up. Where self-concept is great is, for example, if you're saying, everybody thinks I'm the hottest, right? And you can pick very random things, like everyone says that I have the most beautiful eyes, everyone says that I am the best at this, everyone says I'm the smartest, everyone loves me. You're going to get people, coming up to you, or people in your reality, like showing up and reinforcing that self-concept and that belief about self, which will also, by the way, reinforce that you're actually the creator, because you're going to start seeing changes in your physical. Why I wanted to address the whole thing around self-concept. So some of you, for example, like this is something that I dealt with early on when I was consciously applying the law. So I started like working on my self-concept, and saying, everybody loves me, everybody wants me, right? And then I would also do very specific things about, say, a specific person. I'm not going to get specific because I'm on a public forum. But what I saw happen very quickly was people that were not my SP, and this is where we can also talk about birds before land and partial manifestation, but people that were not my SP were coming up and saying word for word what I was scripting out that they would say. Now, what I would say to you guys is if you have a very strong self-concept where you understand that you're the operant power, and that was evidence that I was, guys, because it was just way too specific. If you can understand that you're the operant power, you would see that as positive reinforcement. Or if you have a healthy self-concept generally and you think, yeah, of course people are saying that. And of course my SP would as well, because I'm amazing. And so you can see that that's what I get. If you have that, then you're going to see this as encouragement. You're going to see like this is evidence that I get everyone, including SP. If you don't have a good self-concept, you might say everybody wants me, but I'm a shit manifester because not my SP. Or you might also, take that as a reinforcement of, again, I don't get what I want, or SP doesn't really love me. Like it's all coming down to how do you see yourself in relation to your ability to manifest, your value in terms of you being deserving of what you want, because why wouldn't you? Why is your SP different to, say, outside other people, right? So you're trying to build up your sense of self. Your confidence is the operant power. But yeah, I would say also, again, like that example that I gave you, I mean, I think I was scripting out shit like, you are literally on your hands and knees begging to see me. And I went out to a bar and I met this random person that was not my SP. And within a week, this person was like, I'm on my hands and knees begging to see you. So do you have any idea how specific that is? So what I'm trying to say to you guys, sorry, I know I'm rambling and I'm jumping about. You being confident in yourself as the operant power is so important versus like constantly digging around why maybe your SP did or said this, like because you have to heal your inner child and you're completely fucked up and you have an abandonment story. Like what about just like reinforcing the fact that, holy shit, like if I can just fully accept my power, okay, like how powerful I am, then I can get anything that I want, anyone that I want, anything that I want. Can people block your manifesting? No, Darren, unless you believe so. Whatever you believe and assume is what you're going to experience. So your assumptions is what is going to be, you're going to find the evidence in your reality, okay? If you just repeat, are you missing out on something that might be even better for you as energy? Okay, Darren, the whole thing around the even better for you, guys, you have no idea how specific you can be with your manifestations, okay? I've talked about like this or something better. This is you kind of warring with yourself around like okay, is this worth my energy? Because the past has indicated to me that this person is like difficult or hard or whatever. The truth of the matter is, that's why I said, if you can get into a self-concept where you're like, I can have fucking anything that I want. Why? Because I'm the operant power. Of course I can. Then you're going to take off all this resistance and difficulty in getting very specific about what you want. Now, I think that, sure, I think self-concept, some people work on their self-concept because a person represents something within them, like of not feeling good enough. So you can work on your self-concept and be like, of course I'm good enough. Of course that person would want me because I'm fucking amazing. And then suddenly they're feeling so good, and they also feel like, wow, I have access to anything and anyone, because the outside's going to reflect back to you your concept of self, for sure. Then they don't want that person anymore, and that's okay. Now, you can always have as specific as you want. You can have like a person, their behaviors, their thoughts, their feelings, they will completely shift when you shift, sure, the version of you that knows that you get what you want, the version of you that knows that you're amazing, and of course that person would want you, and then projects those thoughts and assumptions on that person. They must conform. They are your mirror. And it can get very specific. They can parrot back what you want them to say. They can completely shift. People have like done things where their specific person suddenly is like different. A person that would never want to do date night suddenly wants date night 4 times a week, or a person that wasn't making, like they wanted their person to be more driven or make more money. They've manifested that for that person. That person has come in and actually like spoiled them, pampered them, is suddenly doing really well financially. So you can be as specific as you want, but I think the key here is like, we don't need to keep finagling the past, okay? I think some of you, like, the problem with this self-concept issue is, yes, it is important because you want to be strong at your core, but like going back consistently and revisiting old version of self where shit collapsed for you, and then bringing that into the present moment, and then consistently thinking that things are not going to happen for you because you need to revisit that. Like, do you see how that's contradictory? Like, all that matters is the now. Like, are you living in the end? Living in the end is being the version of you that knows that you have what you want and not wavering in and out of that. So yes, that can be difficult for people that have had past experiences that are painful, and they keep getting re-triggered, and then in terms of the specific person, that person reflected back something that's very triggering because there's a story there about self, right? So let's say you're madly in love with an SP, and then they said they went off with another person, and then you're trying to manifest, so you're going to the end, you're like, I'm in a loving, committed relationship with that person, but you have all these intrusive thoughts and all these like roller coaster emotions, okay? You should feel those emotions, guys, but why are you having those emotions? Well, you manifested a version of the connection where shit went sideways, because sure, if you keep feeling like pain from that, there's a story about yourself that was reflected back. I'm not enough, I'm not chosen, they don't love me, they don't want me. And then when you're trying to consistently dwell in the version of you that has what you want, your ego mind is going, of course they don't want you, they left with someone else, you're not enough. Really, at the core, that's what it is. So you would need to, sure, just not endlessly, guys, but like visit that emotion, let it out, fucking cry it out, script it out, whatever you want to do. Say like, that was fucked up, I can't believe that I manifested that. I'm mad as hell that I didn't know I was in my power, and that I am more than enough. So guys, with the affirmations or techniques, with the self-concept stuff, to get you to a place where you're very confidently and in that reality where you have what you want, your mental diet is on point, you're not having this resistance. I think that doing self-concept work at the same time as focusing on your manifestation is great. Like, affirm for what you want, and then say, of course, because I'm the operant power. Of course, because I'm the fucking hottest bitch or dude on the planet. Of course, SP wants me because everybody does. Of course, I've always had great relationships. So the other thing is, guys, revision is great. Rather than having to constantly heal, what about like because again, your subconscious, whatever you keep telling your subconscious your subconscious is going to give you evidence in your physical, and also you're going to have less resistance where you go back to an old version of self. So if you want to fix a recurring trigger and an emotion, what about if you were like, I've always been chosen, I've always had the best luck in relationships, people have always treated me like amazingly, love has always been incredible and easy. Do you think it's counterproductive to create options and date other people? No, Kaizen, I don't think that there's any rules. Some people want to and some people don't. I brought up the example about like birds before land or partial manifestation, where I was manifesting an SP and then I had someone come in and say the exact words. It was actually more than one person, like literally parroting back what I wanted SP to say. Now, you need to do what's right for you. Some people, it doesn't mean that you're cheating on a person. Like, you can live in the end where in your imagination where you're like, no, that person and I, we have the best relationship ever. But, you know, there's a difference between living in the end in the imagination and like living as if day to day. I think people get confused about this. It's like you're living in the end with your person, but you're not going around town necessarily and being like, oh, we're married to like people in your physical. You can entertain other people or have like, you know, other interests, because maybe that's going to help you. Maybe it's going to take your attention. Stop pedestalizing someone that you feel is like more important than you know, or it might help you like to feel good, or you might get like the positive reinforcement that you're, you know, that connection and whatever you want. Doesn't mean that you're then not going to get your manifestation. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get your person. Your manifestation is inevitable, okay? Because once you have made a decision, that version of you and that person, it's not because, and I've spoken about this on other lives, guys, it's not because you're hoping to God that this is being made. You're tapping into something. Your desires from your God self. It's your imagination, which is infinite and everything exists. Guys, creation is finished. So you are tapping into a reality where that exists. So you don't need to be scared then that if you do X, Y, and Z, that's not going to happen. It's all through your mind. So if you say, well, that's not going to happen, well, you're now back in a reality, in a state of doubt, and you're delaying your manifestation. That's why a lot of coaches say just go to the end. Keep it simple. Stop manipulating and finagling and questioning and going, if I do this, then I do this, and then they do that, and then what about that, and then they, what if, and oh, they haven't reached out. It's probably because they said that and they're going to need time, and if I go with someone, they might feel that I'm going with someone and then they're not going to want me. Keep it really, really simple. Like, go to the end, because it's you. They're you pushed out. They're you. You're the operant power. You are in complete control. They don't have free will in your reality. I'm sorry. Like, they just don't. They are going to reflect back your dominant thoughts and assumptions. Now, and the circumstances don't matter. They will shift. There's infinite realities, infinite versions of you and them, and they are your mirror. So you don't need to overthink it and overeat the pudding. Like, if you want someone, you just go, no, I'm operant power. They want me. They love me. We're together. There's no manipulation, guys. You're just selecting that out of the infinite experiences you could possibly have. And you are the creator, okay? So you decide that. Then why are you going back and forth and going, but what if they decide that they don't want, and then they change their mind? Or what if they see me out about town with another guy, then they might not want me? Like, your manifestation is perfect and inevitable. Sorry, I'm filling you. SP, special person, specific person, soul person. Well, whatever you like. But yeah, theoretically it's specific person, because you can use that not just in a romantic sense. I mean, some people say they're trying to get a specific person to conform. It could be your parent, or it could be anyone. Joining from Alberta, Canada. Is it possible after 4 times of manifesting him in and out to stay permanent now? Yeah. So Romy, I would say, like, with getting the consistent results, so that sounds like a lot of like hot and cold in and out. Self-concept is kind of important in a sense, because what's happening is, well, there's 2 factors, and that's why I wanted to do this live. Because yes, it can be self-concept. It can be that you think someone, you know, you've had an experience where people, you don't really believe that people stick around, or you believe people leave you because you feel like you're unworthy, blah, blah, blah. Or, guys, this is where actually the topic of the video is important. It's not always fucking self-concept. Like, you have maybe created an assumption based on past experiences with that person that they leave. So they come in, and then things go a certain way, and then there's like a fear, and your thoughts go in a direction like, well, they're probably going to leave again because this is what they do. So you just need to then, well, one, I think, why not work on both? Just say, nobody ever leaves me. I'm incredible. I've always had healthy, loving, consistent relationships. That's a blanket thing. And then in relation to your specific person, no, they'd never leave me because they're madly in love with me. We've always had a perfect relationship. You can literally revise, guys, as if this person has never left. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to take away that emotional aspect that you had from them leaving originally, and it's also going to cut short that assumption that they're going to repeat it. It's as if it didn't happen. And I know that sounds wacky, but it puts you in the timeline of the reality where that is not your reality. Why would they leave you? They would never leave you. They've never left you. You have a perfect relationship. Gave about other people saying, what's this? Okay, so why did that happen? The example you gave about other people saying doing what you wanted from so. Because you have some kind of a, okay, first of all, that can actually be just an indication, birds before land, which Florence Scovelson talked about, and a lot of coaches talk about. It actually can just be an evidence that your manifestation is on the way, and you just need to fucking persist and not go, oh, why do I get that from that but not that person? Because that's you then having this kind of resistance and thinking like that person that you're manifesting is somehow different or on a pedestal or harder to manifest. And nothing, guys, is harder to manifest. Everything is equal. Like this is what I'm saying. Self-concept does help you in the sense that you need to see yourself as God. You need to understand that whatever you ask for, or affirm for, okay, it's done. You have it. You're the one selecting that experience. And as soon as you made the decision, it is done. But you need to persist in the state of having it. Therefore, you need to align your mental diet and your focus. The version of you that has someone, you're not engaging in like behaviors where you're seeking confirmation from the outside and doubting it, like checking their social media and obsessing, why haven't they come? Now, if you're persisting in that, knowing that you have it, you can see the birds before land. You don't have to settle for birds before land. You get exactly what you want. So sometimes people are going to come in and say, just like the general world is going to reflect back to you what you assume to be true about yourself. So if you're like, I'm the most beautiful fucking bitch in the world, you're going to get someone pop up, or a number of people, or a number of romantic prospects being like, you're the most beautiful fucking bitch in the world. Sorry, that doesn't sound nice, but you know what I'm trying to say, like exact word for word. So you'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, I am. And that's what SP thinks about me, of course, because that's what I'm manifesting. And I always get whatever the fuck I want because it's done. So no, you don't need to settle. No, a partial manifestation doesn't mean that you're not getting your manifestation. I think having a strong core understanding of like you being the operant power means you're going to start attributing meanings to everything popping up in your reality as evidence that you're powerful. Do you understand where I'm going with this? It's like, I think that sometimes people, if they don't have a good self-concept or they don't know their own power, they start affirming and then they attribute shitty meanings to things. Remember I gave you that example? It's like you could go, okay, I'm the most beautiful person in the world. Everybody loves me. SP loves me. And then you might go out and someone says, you're the most beautiful person in the world. And you might be like, oh, but why doesn't SP think so? Like if you have a strong self-concept where you're like, I'm God, so I decide everything. So if I say I'm the most beautiful person in the world and SP 100% thinks so, and of course everybody thinks so, you're not going to have resistance. You're not going to waver. You're not going to be like, SP wants me, but they don't want me. You're just going to be like, this is facts because this is who I am and I said so, right? Sorry, I'm feeling new. Okay, we've dealt with that. SP joining from Alberta. It's definitely us that hold up the story. Yeah. Well, it's you versus you always. No one has any free will. They're going to conform to what you dominantly think and assume. Now, sure, if you have a great self-concept, you're going to less likely, spiral because you're not putting things on a pedestal. So sometimes if you have a shitty self-concept, sure, if you keep focusing on a person, they are going to pop up, they are going to text, you'll run into them, all sorts of things. But what will happen is you're trying to change the habit of being a version of yourself where certain things were reflected to you, right, guys? So if you don't change that, then your mental diet's going to be in the toilet because you're going to, like, say, manifest a person, and then your perspective of self, and therefore what you assume about them hasn't changed. So you might run into a person, and like I said to you, you've manifested that too, or you've manifested the text like, hey, what's up? But you haven't changed you. So you're going to be like, oh, they just wrote, hey, what's up? They didn't say, hello, sexiest woman alive. I want to marry you tomorrow. Let's go. So do you understand? If you want to be living in the end, okay, so living in the end, thinking from the end, whatever, is like, if you knew that this person was yours, you would have a completely different perspective of everything about them, how they show up, or if they were showing up in a way temporarily, or things were popping up in your 3D temporarily that weren't like in perfect alignment with what you've been affirming, you would be like, it's all part of the unfolding. Or you wouldn't be triggered, because you would just be like, either you would have a different association, guys. So this is the thing. Either you would have a different association altogether. So your whole experience of that would be different. Or you would see things that are a bit wacky as like just part of the unfolding. It's part of an old story, and it's like, it's just playing out, but you know that you have what you want. Make sense? You wouldn't be triggered so much. Like, you get very emotional or triggered because there's a meaning connected to the experience, or like the past experience you had with that person, which, by the way, was a manifestation of old thoughts and assumptions that you held about self, and maybe about them, or the type of person that they are, etc. Right? Again, it's like arguable. How deeply ingrained is this? Is this always an inner child issue? Is this always because mummy or daddy did this? For some of you, yes, I've personally had to do a lot of that work, but like sometimes, God knows, like you create assumptions from like whatever. I mean, you could have read that like blonde women that are 5'10" are the type of women that don't like men that are brunette, that are 5'6". I don't know, guys. What I'm saying to you is, not everything is like such a deeply ingrained, huge thing. I think that's why I'm saying the core self-concept thing is, I am God, I create my reality, or I select experiences out of the infinite that are already available by where my thoughts and focus are and what I assume to be true, okay? So if I assume that I'm a version of self that gets anyone I want, gets anything I want, gets SP, gets the money, gets whatever, then it must be shown as in evidence in my physical. Like, the outside's going to conform. Now, if you're not in the habit of thinking that way, you need to change the way you think, and then you need to understand that the outside, so your 3D reality lags behind what you're thinking. So before, you were thinking and assuming certain things, and then the outer was confirming, and you were asleep, so you didn't realize that it was actually you that was selecting the experience and having the confirmation. Now you can consciously select the experience, okay, and allow the outside to conform, and you will stick to that, because you're also going to get a lot of reinforcement generally if you can get into the habit of being God's self, in the habit of being in your power and sticking and persisting. That's why, like, a lot of coaches like, just keep saying your affirmations, keep saying your affirmations. Yeah, because you need to allow the outside to catch up. Your dominant thoughts and assumptions will be reflected back to you. But if you're consistently wavering, and if you have a low self-concept, a lot of the time you want to get validation because you don't feel good. And you might even get a little bit, but then you're going to go back to, because it's like you're trying to change an old story about yourself through the old, like through the outside, and you need to change the story to get the outside to conform. So if you haven't changed the story of self, say it's shit, then you're going to be like constantly brought back to that shit story, and then the outside is going to, you could get a little bit here and there, but you're not going to get like the change that you want. Make sense, guys? I hope so. Your take on the main character is an interesting one. Yeah, you are. You're the main character, director, writer, everything. So I think that this is like why I'm saying, do you need to, every time, you know, sure, if you're getting triggered, guys, like I had to do that for sure. Like, I realized that there was a pattern, like relationship patterns you can revise as well, okay? I gave you examples earlier in the live. I've always been loved, I've always been chosen, I've had the most amazing relationships. It might not feel natural initially, you might even feel emotion, but eventually, you know, with repeating that, and you can also, by the way, repeat that and focus on a specific person, but do it in tandem. you feel like that old version of yourself is a stranger, and you start feeling less emotional, and you start feeling less triggered, and you don't have these intrusive thoughts, and you don't have these negative, like the opposite to what you're, because if you're trying to affirm that person is madly in love with me, and then your ego mind is like, no, they don't, you know, and people leave and people don't want you. Well, you want to be in the habit of thinking like a person that didn't have shitty experiences, that, you know, and there is a version of you in this like infinite, you know, there's infinite versions of you, your state of being, right? So there's a version of you that doesn't even have a thought that anyone would not want you or not choose you or leave you. And you're the operant power, you're the main character. Exactly. So how does that person wake up every day? What do they think? You know, they would never even jump to the conclusion that anyone would leave. They would have very different thoughts. They would have different reactions. They would also then arguably project differently onto the screen of space, and therefore have a completely different experience where they're not ever left, right? How often do you have to reaffirm your manifestation? Tracy, anything that you want, okay? So there's plenty of coaches on YouTube that give you lots of techniques. Now, everyone is going to tell you what worked for them. The more you affirm for something, the less resistance you're going to, I mean, theoretically, guys. So you have to saturate your subconscious mind. So if you're wanting to manifest something that seems initially very contrary to what you have experienced, you know, your subconscious mind doesn't give a flying fuck that it's different to what you've experienced, but you need to continuously feed it, because there needs to be sort of not too much resistance, right, between what your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, like there needs to be kind of an agreement, okay? And usually it's like your conscious and your logic, ego mind are getting in the way of your subconscious delivering something. So it's like you need to affirm something, I would say, to the point, firstly, a lot of coaches, and I would agree, affirm and focus on something till it hardens into fact, till it appears in your reality. Do you need to do that obsessively to the point where you're like, that's where you're usually doing that from a place where you're not believing in your God power and you're like looking for some validation. So why not affirm for it to feel good, and also affirm in a way where it feels natural? So your self-concept being, my thoughts, you know, I'm the creator of my reality. Of course I have this person wants me, whatever. You don't have to do things. There's no rules with manifesting is what I'm trying to say. Like I personally, and I'm not shitting on techniques, people have robotically affirmed. They said, I'm locking myself in a house for 3 days and I'm just going to keep saying my fucking affirmations. And I'll tell you, they got exactly what they wanted, even if it was something that seemed wild to them. I don't like robotically affirming. I get bored. I get sick of it. I like scripting. I like also living my own life. I like getting on with things. I mean, you could also, like I said, instill some kind of an assumption that you don't have to, you get what you want. You're a master at manifesting. You get what you want in a day. Like that in itself is an assumption. There's a version of you that is a master at manifesting, that gets what you want fast and easily, that everything that you want, no matter what, pops up in your reality within like a day or 3 days. I mean, Sammy Ingram has talked about this a lot, and her coaches. So asking like, how many affirmations do I need to do, is you thinking that there's some secret source or recipe outside of you that's deciding that you have what you want when you already have it. So how do you get yourself into a place where your natural assumption, your natural association with the subject or desire is I have it, and then sticking to that till your 3D, which lags behind your thoughts and assumptions, shows up and it crystallizes, which can be really fast. May I ask if you're married? No, Talia, I've had plenty of long-term relationships, so no, I'm not married. Love you, you're beautiful, divine goddess. That's crazy. That actually happened. I manifested seeing the woman I'm talking to who said I'm her crush out with another dude at a bar, and she looked mortified. Haven't heard. Okay, Kaizen, so you would have manifested that. So we can just see that as like, okay, now you're a conscious manifester and you want that woman, and you did see her out with a bloke. Now she did look mortified, so you have some kind of a story. Maybe you're thinking, well, she does want me, but now she's with the bloke and now there's a block. What I would say is, this is part of maybe an old story playing out, or a version of you that thinks that you don't get the girl that you want. So let's keep it clean. First of all, That's why I'm saying, like, your assumptions as well. If you're a version of a person that's like, of course that person wants me, and I've talked about this in other lives and videos, you can assign different meanings, or you would have a different meaning connected to a situation. And I know it doesn't sound logical, but like, assign a different meaning. That's her homie. That's a friend. Like, if you keep thinking about that bloke, you've manifested that, okay? So if you keep thinking about that bloke, or you keep thinking that that might create some some delay in your manifestation, or maybe she wants to reach out, but she's not because of that bloke, or she's embarrassed. Just keep it really, really simple. Don't even put the bloke into like the equation. You just got to be like, she's with me. She loves me. We're together. Or if you don't want to go to the end, like to the committed relationship, and you want to get some confidence in your power, you would be like, she can't stop thinking about, she texts me all day, every day. We're in constant communication. I'm the only one she's ever wanted. She wants to be with me, or whatever. You have to pick your affirmations that feel natural to you, that imply a result that you, by the way, have access to, because it wouldn't come to you if it didn't exist. So you'll be like, I'm the only woman, I'm the only man she's attracted to. Facts. If you keep going back to that person and it's triggering you, well, you need to change the meaning of that or revise it. Like, why is that person an issue? Like, I did do a video about divine timing and circumstances and all of that. Things are popping up in our reality because, like, somehow they've materialized from old thoughts and assumptions that we have, or where our mind was going. And so then there's characters in our show. So then you see a bloke at a bar with a girl that you want, and instead of you just saying, okay, I'm a conscious creator now, so I know that that person must go, they're not part of the story where I'm like in a relationship with this woman. You go and you see them as set, and then you go and find all these reasons and justifications why what you're selecting now, which is that you're in a relationship, can't happen. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm jumping around a bit, guys. Okay, got it. Thank you. You are so beautiful. Oh, thanks, Darren. I actually had more success with persisting in that he's missing me than that we're together now. Listen, Romy, whatever works for you. I mean, some coaches, like, whatever implies the end for you, and it has to feel natural. For some people, saying they're missing me doesn't imply that they're going to take any action. So, like, sure, I mean, you could have an assumption that your specific person is madly in love with you, but then you have some kind of a thing where, like, oh, but they won't reach out. Like, I don't know. So in the end, if it works for you, it works for you. Like, you could say, for you, you might think that if someone's missing you, that implies that they can't not be with you. They can't be away from you. So of course they're texting you. Of course they want to see you. And for others of people, they have like a different way of viewing things, right? So they're like, they're missing me, but that would imply they're away from me. It's going to take time for them to come to me. You know, you are powerful, you are free, you are God. Okay. Hello, ma'am. Hello. I watched Naya and she was talking about telepathy. Yeah. I'm going to do another live with Naya in a few weeks, and I was thinking about talking about this. So yes, your SP, we're just consciousness, guys. So telepathy is very real. You know, that is why, and for sure I've had that. I think Naya talked about her and her husband. I've had that with all my long-term relationships, soulmates, significant others, even with my close friends, and definitely with clients I deal with. I can hear them in my head, and but the truth is, so we can all hear each other. But I've talked about this before. So there's thought transmission and telepathy. Now, if you can imagine that through you, everyone's you pushed out, which means that yes, you're going to have an interaction with a person from one version of you, and you will have telepathy. So they are an individual with their own thoughts and feelings, and you're going to hear each other. However, you are in control, which means that if you're getting a version of a person that you don't want, like they're not reaching out, they don't want you, you might be communicating, because in fact you always are, because you're never in no contact, or you're never in separation with anyone. We're not separate from anyone. But if you step into version of you that's thinking from the end, you have an amazing relationship with this person, you're accessing a different version of your connection because they're you pushed out. So it's like a different reality, a different state of consciousness. And that's why they'll come in and then parrot back. Someone can go from saying, I never want to talk to you again, to you're shifted into a reality where you're like, we're madly in love, they love me, they want me, and they'll come in and parrot back to you what you've been saying. You understand? Yes, setting intentions every morning helps me stay focused. Yeah, Alan, I think what I like to do is I like to first thing in the morning step into my power. So I like to say, okay, I'm the God of my reality. I always get what I want. Everything's always working out for me. I get what I want no matter what. I am God, whatever you want to say, guys. So it's going to be individual. So I think repetition to remind yourself and step into that version of you, your God self, is great. You can do then some time where you're focusing on what you want to manifest or what you're manifesting, like an SP or whatever it is. You can do some affirming or scripting for that. I like to set myself up for the day where I start with the premise, the baseline thing that I'm God and that I get what I want, right? Like I'm consciousness, I'm in the reality also where I get what I want, everything's working out for me. I'm the only one that has the final say. I'm the only one with free will. That's going to help you guys also to like stop with if you're getting intrusive thoughts. So again, do we always have to like attribute a shitty thought or intrusive thoughts as like, oh no, I haven't done enough work on my self-concept. Why am I not able to maintain positive mindset, not positive or like preferable mindset? What about just like allowing things to come in and unless guys, they're really, really triggering you and you're so overwhelmed and you're spiraling, you're going to have less of that when you just deal with the story connected to that. But if you're just getting a bit of doubt here and there, like a doubtful thought, you can always course correct and be like, no, I am God. I'm the God of my reality. I get the final say. Everything and everyone in my reality conforms to me, right? That's the basis. Like that's the basis. That's an assumption, okay? So I think that's a good thing to return to stop you from like spiraling and then going back to an old story where things didn't work for you and unraveled and went to shit. Not to sound obnoxious, but what if you know how amazing you are, also affirm, but don't understand why? Yeah, well, this is actually Oz. Why I think there's a difference between knowing you're the fucking shit, the hottest and whatever, and then having a specific assumption about what you're manifesting. In the case of a specific person, like you might think everyone in the world wants to be with me, but not that person. So you need to affirm with confidence that you always get the final say no matter what. Therefore, you need to create the assumption that whatever you're manifesting, it's the same level of, like you're as in control of what you're manifesting as what the other things, right? So yeah, amazing you're also affirm. Sorry, I'm just like thinking, did I answer that? Don't understand why my manifestations don't come about. I would say just keep reaffirming your God self, and then you have to create very specific thoughts and assumptions about the subject that you're manifesting and stick to those till they harden into fact. I think if they're not coming about, you're wavering between I have it and I don't have it. So are you checking the 3D a lot as well? You know, always manifest someone and I see it's working, but they never have the courage to make the move. So you need to change the story about them not having the courage to make the move. It's literally that simple. You need to create the assumption that they're like beating down your door. They always initiate contact. They're always pursuing you. They're always chasing you. You have an assumption connected to them. Do you see? I can see that like straight through the message. And do that with repetition until it hardens into fact. Change your natural association assumption with that person. Monica, can I manifest SP with not technique, like ladder with Neville? Yeah, I haven't done I know about the ladder technique, which just shows the power of your subconscious mind, because he said that if you go to bed with the assumption, like feeding your subconscious that you have something, but then even in the day you say that you don't have it, that the subconscious is still going to deliver it to you. People have had different experiences with this. That's like implying that if you do SATs, like you go to bed at night when your subconscious is more susceptible, you do, that's the key, right? Now, I think this is coming back to actually what I was talking about earlier about mental diet and where are you dwelling most of the time. You can affirm or you can use SATs, right? You can use a technique, but if you are wavering in and out, like where are your thoughts all the time, guys? This is where I mentioned, like, you're trying to become or embody a different version of you. You're breaking the habit of being an old version of you, a limited version of you, a version of you that doesn't get what you want, a version of you that wasn't in your power, that thought that everything was happening outside of you. So a technique like a SATS or a technique like a robotic affirming or visualization is awesome to get you to access a reality where you have what you want, because you already do, and accept that, right? But if you're doing that and then you're spending the rest of the time with a shitty mental diet, I don't have it, where is it? Then what the hell is the point of the technique? So yeah, I think that practicing consistently, reminding yourself, I'm in power, I get what I want. Maybe you don't need to be doing affirmations like all day, every day. You do like your because you want to be focused on what you want and specific to an extent where you then can see the evidence that you've gotten what you want, right? You could just say everything's wonderful. There's umbrella affirmations for that, but a lot of you want a result. You want a specific person, or you want a specific amount of money or whatever, or you want to get married to a specific person. So if you don't align your thoughts with a version of you that has what you want, then how do you get what you want? You know what I mean? So choose affirmations or a technique, or if you're into visualization, or if you're into SATs, go to bed and do that. But then pay attention to who you're being for the day. If you think of that person or you think of the subject, is your natural association, oh my God, yeah, we're madly in love? Or is it like, where are they? Oh my God, they don't want me. Why haven't they reached out? Then you go to bed and you do SATs. How do you stay loyal to your preferred version of your SP and wish fulfilled? How do you almost cancel out all the wavering of a 3P? How do you stay loyal to your preferred version of your SP and wish fulfilled? Loyal, I guess I'm like, not sure. Loyal as in, okay, we're staying loyal to, this is where it's like what Nell said. So you have to be more loyal to what you're creating versus what has been, something like that. How do you almost cancel out all the wavering of a possible 3P? Of a possible 3P or an actual 3P? Sorry, Romy, just clarify that for me so that I actually answer you, because my mind like can go in so many tangents and I confuse people. Yes, also only focusing on that one person also keeps you from manifesting someone better sooner. I don't know. I didn't understand or believe it really until I see her live the other day. Yeah, well, Darren, you're manifesting that. So you should just be in a space where you're attributing everything that's popping up in your reality as part of your manifestation. It's all you. So everything's working in your favor. Everything's part of your manifestation. If you're running into someone, oh yeah, of course, because I always get what I want. They're madly in love with me. This is all happening. We're in the most amazing relationship. Okay, I don't know what Andy's retracted a message. How to avoid negative thoughts. Well, a negative, again, everything's, so we're all on an individual journey and our minds work in different ways and we have different, again, there doesn't need to be any rules, but I think that like a negative thought here and there is not a big deal. A negative thought that you follow all the way down to the point where you're spiraling and then you're dwelling in a reality you don't like is not going to help you, because the outside is going to reinforce your state, right? So if you're in a shitty state, victim state of not having what you want, the outside is just you're gonna see evidence of that. That doesn't mean that you fucked up your manifestation, your preferred, because that also exists, that reality exists, but you're sitting there. So you need to find a technique to deal with negative thoughts that come here and there. Like if you have an intrusive thought or a negative thought, you can also treat it like it's an annoying friend that you don't like talking to. You can be like, shut up, and then like get yourself back to base, or you can just let it float on by. And I think that when you get more and more into the practice and the habit of knowing your God self, your power, and you keep reinforcing that, and you also see how manifestation works. Like you have so much confidence in your power. So not just manifesting your SP, but manifesting generally, like with focus, then you're unbothered because you realize that like a thought it's like part of maybe an old self, or you get to decide, or you get to choose everything. So you're not indulging it and you're not feeding it. I think that like, following like negative thoughts, it's usually because you know, you haven't sort of built up your confidence in yourself as the one that gets to decide everything. Like, just because a thought comes up doesn't mean that you're like victim to that thought, you know? I hope that makes sense. I was doing revision a few times. However, I think my subconscious mind can't believe it because I still see this. Okay, Kinga, I think that you are way overcomplicate. You've put your own limitations. I was doing revision. However, I think my subconscious mind can't believe it. So why are you overcomplicating things? I was doing revision. Good. So that's your new story. Your subconscious mind. So maybe you need to just say, my subconscious accepts this. My subconscious easily accepts my affirmations. My subconscious, I'm a master at I think the key, guys, I'm a master at manifesting. Everything I do is right. Everything I do is perfect. I always get my results fast and easily. My subconscious accepts my new affirmations easily and effortlessly. Everything's easy. So also with like the intrusive thoughts and stuff, what about like, because some of you will have, and I don't want to say all of you will, I definitely had purges because I was getting in the habit of thinking in a new way, and I had some old experiences and thoughts and, you know, a story. So I would be doing affirmations, and then I would go to bed and like I would have nightmares or I would have purges. But like, if you can just instill this in yourself where you're like, okay, actually everything's easy, manifesting is easy. Some of you might say, I don't get purges. I don't have transitions. I'm always in the reality where I get what I want. My mental diet is perfect. So that's why I'm saying, you guys, you know, I jump around, but what I mean is each of you has different assumptions, and I also don't want to create assumptions for you. So I don't want to tell you that you need to do X, Y, and Z amount of affirmations in order to get what you want, or you need to work on your mental diet. You might tell yourself your mental diet's fucking perfect. You might say, you know what? I wake up every day, everything I do is perfect. You know what? I don't even need to affirm. I affirm once and I get what I want. But you do that where you're not like, I said that I do that. And then you're looking and going, why didn't I get what I want? It's all about what state you're in, guys. Like, I was doing revision. Okay, we dealt with that. For you, what was the most effective technique to manifest? So I played around with so many different things. Some things were so fast. This is when I started understanding like how much the outside was just like my thoughts being reflected back, or like my thoughts and assumptions. So with some things, I would just wake up in the morning and I would just think of something a couple of times randomly, and I'd say, okay, this is a random manifestation I'm going to do. So I'd pick something, I'd just think it a few times, it would pop up in my reality really fast. With say family member relationships, like connection, I re-scripted it. I think I only re-scripted it like once. And then if they would pop in my mind, I would affirm, no, we've always had the best relationship. Like, we've always had a great connection. They've always loved and adored me, whatever. That changed really, really quickly. I didn't have to do that endlessly. With others, you know, you're going to have more resistance. And the way that it's going to be, or the most effective technique is going to be different. Some of you love visualizing. Some of you, oh, thank you so much for the super chat. That's so lovely. Some of you are going to prefer visualizing. Some of you just want to flip your thoughts. You know, you just want to like get on with your day, and every time you think of someone, you'll be like, oh, hell yeah, they're thinking about me. They're madly in love with me, full stop. Others of you, that's affirmation, guys, because your affirmations are just your thoughts and you're thinking all the time. That's why I said that all these techniques and things are great. And then you've got to pay attention to your mental diet, because if you're in a state, if you're dwelling in a reality where you have what you want, you're thinking in a certain type of way. You're thinking in alignment with having that. So if I was to tell you what's the most effective, I mean, some people love doing a vision board. Some people love, scripting. Like I said, I like scripting. I don't like robotic affirming. Some people are like, fuck, robotic affirming is amazing. All I did was just all day, millions of times with the counter app or 10-minute method. I was just like, SP loves me, SP loves me, SP wants me. They're taking me out this week. They're taking me out now. They're texting me right now. They're going to take me out, whatever. They did that and they got it really super quickly. Or even people with money, they were able to like just say, I've got, you know, $1 million. Some people have like manifested $1 million out of nowhere. Some people have manifested $1,000 in their account. They didn't have rent, so they just like kept saying it over and over and over, and it just happened. So what is it that works for you? What is it that puts you in a place where you just, you know, your subconscious mind, you don't need to believe, guys, to have things manifest. You just need to be like dominantly dwelling in a state where, firstly, you should at least believe in your power, and you should believe that anything, you can have anything, therefore it's possible for you to have something. That way you're not going into that doubt and living in a place where you don't think that you can have what you want. And then what is it that just gets you into a place where you're like, okay, I know that because I'm focusing on this from this perspective, from this place, I have it. It's showing up. Sorry, that's a long-winded answer. I fully believe we unknowingly manifested each other, but the timing and now the guilt. Oh, hi, Linda. Infinite versions of us, and I want a different one of us without the guilt. How could I affirm for that, please? The guilt, because I think, Linda, you've got the 3P situation from what I remember. So the guilt is what? That you're taking someone from someone else, or the guilt is in yourself because you feel you're betraying yourself because of the way things manifested before? Because I'm sort of remembering some of your old stories. So I just want clarity, and then I'll give you an answer. I affirm that I am in a loving, fulfilling relationship with my SP every morning, and when I take a walk each afternoon with no expectation, I just realize it's been a month with no results. Thank you, we'll take your advice. Okay. Hi, and I think that your manifestation of your SP becoming their best self is an awesome, yeah. I like that, Gina, because, you know, sometimes you like the parts that you love about a person, that's very real. And then what they reflect back, the shitty twat versions of them, well, it is a reflection of you, right? But like at the same time, you can kind of go through an internal battle because you're like, I want them. And then you don't like, you're like, no, why would I want them? They're a piece of shit, right? Now you can absolutely have the best possible version of a person. And actually, this is good. Like and full disclosure, guys, like I won't deny when I get like outside sources. So recently, even though I've had quite a lot of success, I've never had any formal coaching myself at all. I discovered the law and I started practicing it, and I obviously watched tons of content. But I enrolled in Flossie's course. Flossie is from Your Thoughts Create about 2 weeks ago. And I'm just going to tell you because I love her technique with things. So if you want to reframe a person, she was like, okay, what you can do is, because you can literally change anything about any person with your dominant thoughts and assumptions about them and how they show up. So if you have the part of you thinks this person is like amazing, so you have that, and then you're like, okay, but I don't like, okay, just say your natural association, they have hurt you in some way, and you think liar, player, they're extreme examples, guys. Then you could write out a list of the traits you like and the traits that you don't like. And then you should take the traits that you don't like, cross it out, and write the opposite. This is how they are. Okay. Now, some of you, it's not even that. Like, it's not liar or player, right? Player, you would scrub out, and you would be like loyal, monogamous, whatever. Or liar, you would scrub it out and you would be like honest. Okay. They must conform to the new script that you're feeding them. But some of you, it's like you would want the person to be more romantic, more emotionally available, so more affectionate. I mean, literally, you can actually just re-script everything, because you're just meeting people from where you are, and they're your projection, they're a reflection. And guys, I'm not saying that means because someone's player, you're a player, or you're a shit person. Something within them, you have certain associations with them, the type of person they are. You might have a blanket association. So this is where self-concept does come in. If you have a habit of assuming that men lie and cheat, or are players, or women, guys, whatever, I'm not going to be like gender specific, then you might need to change your concept about self and about love and how you see that people show up for you in love. But some of you, you know, like, God knows why someone in particular, you might have had the most amazing, like, committed relationships in your past, and then one person you're really hot for and they show up like a player. I don't know, something within your consciousness. Maybe you had seen a bunch of information about how men are players. Like, there's a lot of subliminal programming. So you can shift and change anything by just rewriting the story. What's this? Hi, and I think that your manifestation of SP becoming, yes, okay, we just dealt with that. So yes, sorry guys, I go around in circles. So one of your affirmations might be a blanket thing, like write a list. This was also Flossie's recommendation. I like it. Like, write a list of all the qualities that you want or love about your SP and get rid of the others, or write the opposite and then say, my specific person is the best version. They show up perfectly. They're perfection. They show up as their best self. And that could be like your affirmation. And then that's going to become your new normal, like the way that you expect your person to show up versus going back to some old circumstance or what they said or did before, which you just need to let go of the old story, guys. Otherwise, you're going to find that you keep recreating it or reinfecting yourself with your old pain. And then they represent that. I'm sorry, loyal as in that you stay in your wish fulfilled. Yeah, loyal to your state, more loyal to also the unseen, your desire, what you actually want versus what has come before, which was the manifestation of old thoughts and assumptions that weren't serving you. I'm gonna, Andy, hi Gina, I love that, thanks for sharing. When we have thoughts, we are actually listening, and thoughts are not ours as we are. Yes, we're the observer. We're consciousness, exactly. So our ability to actually observe our thoughts is our God self. It's our consciousness. I look forward to your lives and readings. You've turned me on to Naya, Kimberly, and Sammy. Good. Yeah, they are the real deal for sure. So you're on the right track. Yeah, I mean, guys, be careful. So with manifesting content, there's no rules with manifesting. And that's like, any good coach is going to emphasize that. And if any coach is making you feel like shit or making you feel like you're not doing a good job or not doing it right, or imposing all this like crap onto you that doesn't feel good, then don't. You're the power, okay? So you make the rules with manifesting, and don't doubt yourself, and stick to what feels good, and then test it with other areas of your life. I've said this on other streams because this is where I started like going, oh my God, holy shit, like I would just be like thinking about something. I'd be like, I want to play with this. I want to test this out. And I'd be like, wow, it's insane how quickly like that just manifested. And so what you're thinking is hard or on a pedestal or out of reach, say a specific person, is no different to anything else. Your thoughts and your assumptions and the version of you that you're being, what you assume to be true about a subject or desire, is going to be reflected. Now, some things you don't have as much resistance, but we can also say you don't have resistance. So it's not like you have to endlessly keep working, or just because something showed up and looked a bit sideways, okay, you're fucked up and you have to fix your self-concept, and now it's going to take you another year to get what you want. What about just getting the practice of being like, my self-concept is perfect. I get what I want easily. Manifesting is so easy. That person loves me. Everybody loves me. So put in some self-concept work, guys, because you're going to feel better. And you're going to feel more confident, and you don't do self-concept for the purpose to get the person. You're doing self-concept so that you can just be like, I'm the fucking shit. Of course I am. Like, you're the God of your reality. If you are the God, what is the reality that you're creating? Like, no one has free will to see you or show up other than what you are projecting outwards. So of course you want to write a story where you are exactly how you want to be, and how people treat you how you want them to treat you, of course, and that you have everything. Oh, thanks, Gina. I hope so. I'm like a little bit wayward and tired, so I don't know how I jumped around. So guys, to wrap up, because I'm probably gonna hop off now, I've been on for ages. The key here is, right, no, you don't need to keep fixing yourself, okay? What you need to fix is your mindset. Your mindset should be you, the version of you that knows that you're God and has what you want and can have anything you want through you're accessing it through your consciousness, through your focus. And your self-concept should be in alignment with that too, that you are God, that you can have anything you want. You should feel good. You should select the version of you that knows that you're worthy, loved, adored, respected, gets first best treatment for sure, and that your specific person is no different to anyone else in your reality. That should be a baseline. But no, you're not fucked up, and you don't need to keep fixing and fixing to get something. Your thoughts, wherever you're putting your focus dominantly, is what's going to show up in your reality for sure. So, but if you want the best results, keep amping yourself up to be that version, because that version of you exists. The version of you that is loved, adored, chosen always, or gets all the money, or gets everyone that you want, that exists. So reselect that version, get in the practice of being that version with your thoughts, and then focus on what you want directly. You don't need to worry that you need to be like, you're not doing anything wrong, guys. I hope that makes sense. You're not doing anything wrong. Stop fighting yourself. It's simple, right? I always get what I want. I'm amazing, whatever your self-concept things are, and then I'm God of my reality. And yes, because I said so, I get it. That's it. All right, guys. I'm sending you so much. Thank you. Hi, Princess. So good to see you. I think you're only hopping on now, but I'm hopping off, but the replay will be available. Thank you so much, Oz, for the super chat. Thank you, Princess, for the super chat. Hi, Bree, Darren, which is the one thing? Oh, thank you, Linda, for the super chat. What is the one thing this month that has surpassed your expectations this month? Yes. Okay, guys, fine. All right. I'm going to have to go. I've been on a lot and I've talked a lot. I really do hope that helped. I know that these lives, I like jump around a lot and whatever. It's just kind of the way my brain works. But I think in essence, you get it. So you're not doing anything wrong. Keep at it. Persist. Persist with your desires. Persist with your assumptions, your thoughts until they harden into fact. It's inevitable. It's done. You have it. All right. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Bye.